The sound of healing, how music heals in Indigenous communities.
To start, let's all close our eyes and focus on what we hear.
Cody Joshua, who is a musical artist from Arizona, makes music inspired by nature and introduces sounds that soothe.
Let Cody Joshua's root chakra cleanse seep into your body, your soul, and open your mind. How do you feel after hearing that? Relaxed? Healed? This was an Instagram reel posted by Cody Joshua called Root Chakra Cleanse. Joshua explores the transformative power of sound, breath, and Reiki, a space for inner balance and wellness, and is an example of how music can be used to heal. Most people in our society view music as a source of escape or entertainment, but for many Indigenous communities, it is used medicinally for healing and as a way of life. In this country, newer fields such as music therapy and medical ethnomusicology have started to incorporate their practices into our modern medicine. But for many Indigenous people, it has always been part of their recovery process. In this video, we will explore how music can heal and help Indigenous communities strengthen relations, connect with the land, and emphasize one sense of placehood. We'll start off with the concept of music and sound. It is important to recognize our positionality when listening to what we would define as Indigenous music. The author, Dylan Robinson of Hungry Listening, Resonant Theory for Indigenous Sound Studies, cautions readers against hungry listening or consuming music purely as a resource or for entertainment. In viewing music only at face value, this leaves out the relations and history of it. The term hungry listening comes from two Hakamelam words, meaning the adjective for settler or white person's methods or things, and the word for listening. These combine to mean as a whole, starving person, or one who consumes with little reason. Robinson urges us to instead recognize our positionality and perspective. Rather than extract from the Indigenous sonic space, we need to focus on the intersubjective relations between sound, song, listener, and space. We can connect these ideas back to what we've learned from our class discussions. This reminds me of the work we read from Miguel Rojas Sotelo about the Tree of Abundance in contemporary Latin American art. He challenged us to think about art in a new way, saying that even today for many Indigenous communities, there is no translation of such a concept, art, in their languages. Instead, art is viewed as embodied, and artists are then the embodied territories. There's no separation between the creator and the creation. In this same vein, we need to shift our own perspective of music and sound. In doing this, we will see that this sonic space is full of relations and connections that help Indigenous people heal by maintaining bonds with the land and emphasizing a sense of community and placehood. We've explored many meanings and ways of relating to the land throughout the term and have challenged previous ways of thinking about it. In Western society, land is often seen as something to be possessed, owned, bought, and sold. But these notions are contested by authors such as Kim Tolbert and Laura Rodriguez Castro. Kim Tolbert highlights the importance of relations with the land and other than human, and how this is the only way we'll be able to heal in the future. Laura Rodriguez Castro also introduces the idea of body territory and how with the dispossession of the land, the body was also dispossessed, as it is one. These ideas helped guide our perspectives on something that is often viewed as a commodity, but as described in Catherine Callahan's Music and Healing in Aotearoa, New Zealand, the harmony of the land, placehood, and community in Maui and Pakeha experiences of healing. For many Indigenous communities, sonic space and sound are used to honor one's ancestors and the other beings who inhabit the land. When there is an expression of one's culture and identity through sound, it is healing and welcoming of past histories and a way to take back what has been dispossessed. Changing our views on land helps challenge and reframe our thoughts about place.
Going back to the beginning of the term, Heather Davis and Zoe Todd build off of Vanessa Watt's concept of place thought, which was the idea that place and thought have never been separated because they never could or can be. Land, as we discussed, not only is an area on which we live, it is alive and thinking, and humans and non-humans derive agency through the extensions of these thoughts. As we listen to the thoughts and sounds of the land also listens to us. Connecting this concept of living land as a sense of placehood, Callahan so eloquently states, in the lyrics of the song there's healing, about knowing who I am, about knowing where I come from, and knowing the lengths that my ancestors went through to ensure that we survived. Knowing who we are is part of the healing. Exploring the thoughts and history of a space through sound is what helps many in the Indigenous community heal from past traumas and be more in tune with their sense of placehood. It also allows for a stronger community to be formed with a bond of harmony and sound. Music and sound connect Indigenous people with the land and create a sense of placehood. This relation fosters stronger bonds and emphasizes one's sense of community. And with a stronger community comes more support for revitalization and fighting against the notion of the vanishing Indian. Our media tends to erase or avoids highlighting Indigenous narratives and voices, which makes it seem like their cultures are dying off or already gone. But this is not the case. Indigenous communities are still alive, present, and many are fighting to take back what was lost due to colonialism. Callahan's research in Aotearoa showed the revitalization of te reo, the Maui language, and how hakas, or fiery chants, in te reo are being used to show that Indigenous cultures are still here and thriving. This sense of community that the sonic landscape provides goes beyond the music and touches the soul. This process helps the recovery and healing of not just the body, but space and time. While it's interesting to read articles and papers, I wanted to connect with people about these topics to learn more. I was fortunate enough to interview the author of a paper that was crucial to this project, Catherine, or Katie Callahan, and a psychology master's student here at Drexel, Leah Downs. We start off by seeing how sound affects the brain in the scope of Western medicine. I first questioned Leah Downs, a master's student studying psychology at Drexel. Her main interests are in cognitive psychology, and her thesis project is focused on understanding how musicians and non-musicians conceptualize and perceive time. One thing that stuck with me from her responses is the way that we perceive sound and rhythm. Often our brain waves match rhythm to focus our attention, and our heartbeat and breathing also might match a beat. If sound can be used to regulate the beat of our body and the space we take up, it can be used to calm and heal through these methods. In this, music becomes more sensory than just our ability to hear. I also had the opportunity to interview with the author Katie Callahan, discussing her memorable parts of the trip to Aotearoa and how she went about her research, keeping Indigenous narratives in mind.
I'm Katie. I recently graduated from Colby College in Maine with degrees in biology and music. And what brought me to music and healing was a fascination with the intersection between music and medicine that I had previously explored through typical music therapy.
Callahan discussed her modality of research, ensuring that Maori narratives were kept intact.
This connects back to the idea of positionality that I brought up in the beginning of this video and being aware of what our background and perspective are.
Kaupapa Maori research is a research modality that was designed for specifically doing research with Maori populations. It's not specific to music, it's just like for any sort of like research with Maori. And Kaupapa means by Maori for Maori. And so it's about like centralizing Maori perspectives and wishes and beliefs and like overall keeping Maori central in the research that's being done about them. A lot of research that's done with Indigenous communities kind of looks at them from afar and observes and creates these theories and ideas about who they are, and it makes them a cultural other. And Kaupapa Maori research is about keeping Maori central in the research.
Callahan ended off the interview on a positive note, looking towards the future with hope and optimism.
I would love to see it going in a direction that continues to explore Indigenous communities worldwide, because it definitely already is going there. And I think ethnomusicology is a field that has a lot of Indigenous perspectives. Diving in deeper to the medical aspect of that, I know there's a lot of research done dance, with instruments or certain rituals. I feel like my paper was a little bit more contemporary in what I explored, and perhaps a little bit more abstract because I wasn't observing specific rituals or interactions, and I was like just speaking with people in my field work. I would love to see it move in a more contemporary direction and prioritize individual narratives, because there's definitely a lot there.
If music and sound are embodied, then this process of healing is also embodied within us. As Callahan put in her interview,
you can be playing the instrument, but also like the sound that it's reverberating through you too. And like in your own way, you're the instrument. And in being the instrument, that suggests that we are vessels for healing, and we can heal unto others the same way that they can unto us.
Music and sound aren't something separate from our being. We are one. In this way, understanding and embracing this way of thinking will help not only Indigenous communities, but also all of us through our own healing process.